This is Prince Handley coming to you with 100,000 watts of pure love. The voice of Israel and for Israel. I want to talk to you today about directions and the New World leader. Directions in the Holy Bible, the Torah, the Tanakh, and the Brit Chadashah are specific. North, south, east, and west are all related to Jerusalem, the city of God. When you go to Jerusalem, you're going up. If you travel away from Jerusalem, you're going down. Aliyah refers to Jewish immigration to the land of Israel. Conversely, Jewish immigration from Israel is referred to as Yerida, or descent. Those who go up for this purpose are known as olim, a term used in the Bible when the children of Israel went up from Egypt, and at a later period for the exiles who returned from captivity in Babylon. The call of Cyrus, king of Persia, in 538 BCE, when he said, "Whosoever there is among you of all his people, his God be with him, let him go up." That has been used as a watchword for Aliyah. The law of return is Israeli legislation enacted in 1950 that gives Jews, those of Jewish ancestry, and their spouses the right to migrate to and settle in Israel and gain citizenship. El Al Airlines derives its name from the meaning going up to God or skyward. The Word of God is specific. It is not a general set of information or precepts. It has purpose. In the Tanakh, we read in the prophet Isaiah, chapter 55, verses 10 to 11, "For as the rain comes down and the snow from the sky, and does not return there, but waters the earth and makes it bring forth and bud, and gives seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goes forth out of my mouth. It shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it." Direction in the Bible is important to God and to us. For example, in the prophet Yeshua or Isaiah, chapter 43, verses 5 and 6, we read, "Don't be afraid, for I am with you. I will bring your seed from the east and gather you from the west. I will tell the north, give up, and to the south, do not keep back. Bring my sons from far and my daughters from the end of the earth." I want to draw your attention to the fact that the verb tenses associated with each direction in the passage I just quoted are different. For example, when God says, "I will gather you from the west," it is a selective gathering, a collection. This applies to Aliyah of the Jews in the USA and South America, west of Jerusalem. When God says, "I will tell the north, give up," it is a command. You must deliver up. In other words, God will cause the Jews in Russia to be released. And to the south, do not keep back. It means do not restrict. The Hebrew verbal tense in the original means do not restrict, do not prohibit or hold back by act or word. The Yemenite Jews who were airlifted to Israel from Yemen in southern Arabia during 1949 and 1950 are examples of this, as are also the Falasha, black-skinned Ethiopian Jews. But let me tell you about some other directions revealed to us by the holy prophets. For example, the prophet Zechariah reveals that certain riders and their horses in the supernatural realm are supernatural beings under the direction of God with assigned responsibilities on earth. In Zechariah chapter 6, he says that different colored horses are assigned certain areas of the earth. The white horse goes to the west, the red horse goes to the east, the black horse goes to the north, and the pale or dappled horse goes to the south. Remember, directions in the Bible are from the location of Israel and specifically from Jerusalem. So let's look at what a Jewish prophet named Yochanan or John in the 1st century AD or CE reported that he received the revelation given to him from Yeshua HaMashiach by an angel. And behold, a white horse, and he who sat on it had a bow. A crown was given to him, and he came forth conquering and to conquer. When he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, Come. Another came forth, a red horse. To him who sat on it was given to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. There was given to him a great sword. When he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature saying, Come and see. And behold, a black horse, and he who sat on it had a balance in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures saying, A measure of wheat, or specifically a kinix, for a denarius, and 3 kinix of barley for a denarius. Don't damage the oil and the wine. When he opened the fourth seal, I heard the fourth living creature say, Come and see. And behold, a pale horse, and he who sat on him, his name was Death. Hades followed with him. Authority over 1/4 of the earth to kill with the sword, with famine, with death, and by the wild animals of the earth was given to him. You can read that in the Revelation chapter 2, verses 2 through 8, in the Brit Chadashah. By the way, when I was reading what the scripture says about the black horse and a kinix of wheat for a denarius, a kinix of wheat for a denarius and 3 kinix of barley for a denarius, a kinix is a Greek dry volume measure, a little more than a liter, almost equal to a quart, mentioned in the New Covenant only in this passage in Revelation, where the Revised Version margin would read kinix instead of the indefinite translation measure. And what this passage means in the original Greek is that there is obviously a crisis of famine. A person is going to work a whole day for a loaf of bread. So let us combine Zechariah and Revelation to form a matrix of information review. The white horse, peace, and going to the west. The red horse, war, going to the east. The black horse, famine, going to the north. And the pale horse, or death, assigned to the south. So if the white horse is assigned to the west, that would be across North Africa and extending to the USA and North America. The rider has a bow but no arrows. That means he does not have to fight. He conquers through peace. The red horse would be assigned to Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, Pakistan, India, and extending to China. The rider has a powerful armory of weapons and military force. The rider has a large sword and is given authority to take peace from the earth. He takes peace away from the earth and brings war. The black horse would be assigned to Lebanon, Syria, Turkey, and extending to Russia and the previous countries and areas belonging to the old USSR and Eastern Europe. Its rider holds a pair of scales or balances, and it takes a whole day of work to earn enough wages to buy a loaf of bread. There will be catastrophic damage to grain production, resulting in severe famine. And the pale horse would be assigned to Africa. The rider is given authority over a 4th part of the earth to kill by sword or weapons, famine, death, and wild animals. A 4th part of the earth dies. Notice something. Europe could be considered to be to the west or the north of Israel. Australia could be considered to the south or the east of Israel. Central and South America could be considered to the south or west. These are not specific delineations of geographic areas, but only for the purpose of illustration as one possible view of the prophecies of Zechariah and Revelation combined. I personally do not believe that the prophecies of Zechariah and Revelation are related. That is, I do not believe the horses mentioned are representative of the same judgments. For example, the red horse in Revelation takes peace from the earth, seeming to show non-delineated geography. In other words, including the whole earth, or sections of the earth, but not just one direction or quadrant. Also, the pale horse causes a 4th part of the earth to die. However, this nomenclature, from the earth and of the earth, could be used of the different directional quadrants of the earth. So I don't want to be dogmatic on that. However, reduced to the least common denominator, from the Revelation, we know for sure the following. The white horse conquers without war, conquers through peace treaties. The red horse conquers through war and fighting. The black horse brings famine. The pale horse brings death. The pale horse brings war and famine, death, and wild animals. By the way, the prophet Ezekiel says these are the same four judgments that God brings upon the earth: war, famine, death, and wild animals, or mass death because of war, famine, pestilence, or disease, and wild animals. So where does Israel fit into the four horses of the Revelation? The horses represent consecutive judgments upon the earth that will affect all nations, but may be more intense in directions as represented by Zechariah. Part of the prophetic revelation in Zechariah is dealing with the return of the Jews to Jerusalem in the days of Zerubbabel, but then extends in range to the return of Messiah in the day of the Lord, in the last days. This is typical of different prophecies in the Tanakh for there to be double or multiple fulfillments. The key thing to realize is that all these representations of the horses and their riders in the Revelation will happen consecutively, one after the other. There may be some overlapping of these events in different geopolitical regions of the earth. However, the major result will be that the catastrophic events will create a worldwide situation, war, famine, death, that will pave the way for the coming world leader. This leader will be appointed by the Global Governance Group, previously called the New World Order, and will be a false Messiah, not only for Israel, but for the whole world. This coming world leader will be chosen to heal the crises of war, famine, and death. He will also seemingly have the answer to the social, economic, and religious crises of the world. He will come to power through a policy of change and diplomacy. He will be a glib-tongued orator. If you have listened to even a few of my podcasts, you will be aware that the EU, the European Union, is not the friend of Israel. As a matter of fact, it will be in the future the greatest enemy that Israel has ever known, even greater than Nazi Germany. The New World Order will arise from both the EU and the League of Arab States, and then the 10-region World Order will select the leader who will seduce Israel into signing a 7-year treaty or covenant, allowing Israel to rebuild their temple on or near the Temple Mount. Jerusalem will be the bargaining key. Consult the show notes of my podcast on the Voice of Israel 2008-06-10, in other words, June the 10th, 2008, titled The World Leader Who Deceives Israel. The 10-region confederacy that will be comprised of governments in both Europe and the Middle East, including Northeast Africa, will ultimately have the political clout to control the Mediterranean. The 10-region confederacy that will be comprised of governments in both Europe and the Middle East, including Northeast Africa, will ultimately have the political clout to control the Mediterranean, the Caspian Sea, the Suez, the Gulf of Aden, and the Persian Gulf. Some of these 10-region states may be from Western Asia and North Africa, but most of them will probably be from Europe and the Middle Eastern Muslim countries. The final leader of this confederacy will overthrow 3 of the 10 regions by a political, military, and governmental takeover. He will be the false Messiah, the enemy of Israel. As I have mentioned to you before, today, in addition to disease and famine issues, the leaders of the dominant nations are concerned with 3 primary factors: attaining peace among nations and ethnic groups, guaranteeing the flow of oil, and stopping terrorism and conflict in the Middle East, especially between Israel and the Palestinians. Again, the chief bargaining factor will be the city of Jerusalem. What you should be watching for is leadership, a leader who will seemingly have the solution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. At some time during his rule, this leader will be wounded in the head, and his seemingly deadly wound will be healed. This leader, appointed by the New World Order, or the Global Governance Group, will bring temporary peace and will convince the Jewish people to sign a 7-year treaty. In exchange for agreeing to this treaty negotiation, which will undoubtedly include land concessions, Israel will be allowed to rebuild her temple on or near the Temple Mount. Then, after 3.5 years, 42 months, the New World Order leader, the false Messiah, will do just what Antiochus Epiphanes did, who desecrated the Jewish temple at the time of the Maccabean revolt. You can read about that in the Tanakh in Daniel chapter 9, verse 24 to 27, and Daniel chapter 11, verse 31. The New World leader will go into the new rebuilt temple and blaspheme God. Then he will declare that he is God. Then will begin a time of the worst persecution the Jewish people and Israel have ever known, worse than that experienced during World War II under Hitler and Nazi Germany. Jew or Gentile, Yehudim or Goyim, make sure that you know the real Mashiach, Yeshua HaMashiach. Pray to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and ask him to reveal to you if Yeshua is really your Messiah. If he does, then receive him and ask Yeshua what he wants you to do. The Holy One of Israel, Adonai, knows how to provide for you and to protect you. And if you need help or direction in your next step with the Lord, email me, princehandley@gmail.com. This is the Voice of Israel, and this is Prince Handley coming to you with 100,000 watts of pure love. Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.